UFC Nashville, Derek Lewis versus Taliesin Teixeira is this weekend. There's some opportunities to make some good money. Great underdogs, in my opinion, on this card. So stick around. We're going to go through every fight on this card, give our breakdown and predictions of how we think these are all going to play out. I'm just going to say I'm not for this trend as of late. I know it's been like the last couple years, but I feel like it's been every single card as of late, especially cards that are in front of crowds. We're always starting real hot with some women's MMA. And starting out with a massive underdog. Truly very confused here. She's got one win and one loss in the UFC. She lost to Jusadifkius, which she's on a mean streak right now. But, like, after that KO, odds makers are loving this chick. We got Melissa No Neck Martinez. She's brand new in the UFC too, right? She's 1-1. Got a win over Alice Ardeline. Wasn't in an emphatic KO like Fatima's, but I mean, not slouches. Both of them have the same record in the UFC coming into this one, so odds makers think very highly of Klein after her last fight, finishing it with a TKO. But I mean, shit, starting off the card with a plus 700 underdog in an instance where is not really deserving. I mean, I might not know something here, like Melissa maybe stepping in on super short notice. Like, I could be missing something, but I'm not really quite sure where these odds go. I mean, I'm going to go with Fatima Klein. She looked really, really solid in her last bout. She looked good against Jasmine, too. Don't get me wrong. But Jasmine is obviously a lot more seasoned in the UFC and has more fights under her belt by a long shot. So Klein did not have as much experience. And, you know, it's not a surprise that she lost that fight. But I'm going to go Fatima Klein. Not a bad idea to just throw $5-10 on this guy, because that's something that you can't pass up. And then you got another plus fucking 700 here. Mitch Ramirez, which he's coming off of a TKO loss. Thiago Moises in the third round, which, you know, he lost to Carlos Prates. That's who Carlos put on a highlight reel to get into the UFC. So, like, Mitch's only two losses are against some pretty solid talent, right? And then Mike Davis is just a little bit of a confusing puzzle. He's really fast twitch. He hits hard. He's like, moves very quick. He doesn't fight that often. Like, he's trying to, I believe in his last, like, fight leading up to it, he says he's going to try and get in there, like, more frequently. He only fought twice from 2022 to 2024. And I think that's always been his biggest issue. Like, he's never been that active. Like, 2019 to 2021, 2021 to 2022, 2022 to 20. So it's like that, when you're trying to get to the highest level in this sport, fighting that infrequent is not going to get you to where you need to go. So it's already good that he's making a quick turnaround in 5 months. We might, depending on if he's able to get Mitch out of there quickly, which I don't think he's going to, we may see him fight for a third time in 2025. But I think they're disrespecting my boy Mitch just a little bit here. Like, it's not like he lost to Thiago Moises in the first round and got, like, schooled and then KO'd. Like, he put up a pretty competitive fight, in my opinion, against a very seasoned opponent for his UFC debut, right? I mean, say what you want. This is going to be a really good fight. I do think Mike Davis is gonna pull out of this one victorious, but part of me wants to say Mitch Ramirez is going to get it done. Part of me does. I mean, Mike's got really, really good wrestling, but I don't think that's really going to make much of a difference in this fight. I don't. Mitch has good wrestling too. Stylistically, this is just a fun matchup. We're going to go Mitch. No, we're going to go Mike. Fuck. My head and my heart are very conflicted, fellas. All right, we're going to lock it in. Mitch Ramirez, round 2 TKO. Moving on. Kennedy Nzechukwu and Walter Walker. Kennedy Nzechukwu is a big body at heavyweight. He started out in light heavyweight and ran into some bigger boys and found himself in some trouble. But he always puts on like very good fights. When he establishes his jab, because he's so long, when he remembers to and he does establish his jab, he's very difficult to beat. When he gets that jab going, like he peppers and bloodies people up with his jab. So he's got a 5.5 inch reach advantage, or a 4.5 inch reach advantage, excuse me. And he's about the same size, but I think if he's able to get his jab off, he's gonna be okay in this fight. It's unclear how he's gonna do when it comes to the takedowns. I think Walter knows that if he stands on the feet, especially if Kennedy gets his jab going, he's gonna be in trouble. He's gonna be in trouble, and he has the takedowns in his back pocket. Question is he gonna be smart enough to use them if Kennedy starts popping him? But this is going to be a really, for heavyweight, I say this with an asterisk, but this should be a pretty stylistic, fun matchup. Classic southpaw versus orthodox. Kennedy stands very tall. Like I said, he has a good established jab when he remembers that he fucking has it. And we're probably going to see some nasty kicks from Kennedy to the body here. I think he needs to invest in the body kicks big time with Walter. Because Walter, his guard is going to be high. I just know it is. This is a great matchup, though. Honestly. But I'm going to go with Walter. I think he's going to get takedowns in some really key moments. Kennedy Nzechukwu has done a lot better of not overextending himself when he has his opponent hurt, which has gotten him in trouble. But I think Walter is going to incorporate wrestling, and it's gonna ultimately cause some issues for Kennedy. I think he's gonna get stuck there on the bottom, because not a lot of heavyweights are like a big submission threat. And I think Walter, not saying that he's like a Charles Oliveira, but for a heavyweight, like he's got a very prominent threat on the ground. So if Kennedy is smart, he's been working a lot on his takedown defense and his submission submission defense skills, because he's probably going to find himself in some bad spots in this fight. Bottom half guard, big boy laying on top of you, raining down ground and pound. I can very well see us in that spot here. So I'm going to go with Walter here. We're kicking in first 3 fights, 2 out of 3. We're picking underdogs, so fuck 'em. Lauren Murphy, why the fuck are we still in the UFC? Why? Someone tell me why. She looks like a middle schooler that's 40. It's been 2 years since she fought. Why? She was 39. That should have been it. But now that we're 41, Lauren Murphy decides to come back to the octagon after over 2 years. We'll call it 2.5 years of a layoff. She's not like a Jennifer Aniston where she's aging like fine wine. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can tell she's had 22 mixed martial arts fights. And what for? What for? If you're 41 and you're making a run to the title and you're on a big win streak, like, sure, I understand it. Or if you're like a Matt Brown and you're still putting out highlight reel knockouts and beating hungry up-and-coming contenders, sure. But even then, like, probably time to hang them up soon type of deal. Lauren Murphy, why the fuck are we here? Why? There's literally no shot of her sniffing another title contention. And they're just going to feed her to the young and hungry Eduarda Moura. I smell a submission. I'm just going to say it. I smell a submission. Lauren Murphy's takedown defense is dog shit. So dog shit. She's not going to have any... Guys, I think that the UFC made this fight so that Lauren gets absolutely destroyed and has no other option but to retire, because this is, in my opinion, no different than what the UFC did to Chris Mutino, where they said, oh yeah, you've been beating up 60-year-olds on the regional scene. Let's feed you to our next up-and-coming guy that we've got a lot of steam behind, Malcolm Wellmaker. That'll go great, you know? It's like, this is the same thing. They're just beating Lauren Murphy at 41 years old. I know Mutino's not 41, but with all the brain injury that he's sustained since his 3 UFC fights, like, he might as well be 40. I'm not really quite sure why she's here. Eduarda is going to sub her very quickly. I think it's going to happen end of first round, maybe early second round. I may eat my words and it may be a super boring decision fight, but based off of her previous fights, I don't think that's how it's going to go. I think she's going to put the pressure on Lauren a good bit and then hit her with a takedown and sub. So, Eduarda by sub. Jake Matthews and Chidi Njokuani. I think that Njokuani is going to be a little bit too much for Jake Matthews. Striking wise, Chidi has the advantage, no doubt about it. This is like your classic striker versus wrestler matchup here. Jake Matthews has the ability to work against the fence. I'm not going to say his like open like middle of the octagon takedowns or anything like super impressive, especially on a really lanky guys like this. If like, he might have trouble, especially against the fence. Like, he's been successful in past fights against guys against the fence that aren't necessarily the size of Chidi. Like, Njokuani is massive for welterweights. Like, he should be a 185er. No doubt. I don't know how this motherfucker makes 170. Okay? But Jake Matthews has success against the fence against other welterweights because they're not as big. And when they get against the fence, your defense of stuffing a takedown against the fence is splitting your legs, doing almost like a side sprawl, so that that person can't connect their hands behind your hips or your legs to complete the takedown, right? If Chidi does the correct thing and like splits his legs and sprawls hard, I could see that potentially being an issue for Jake Matthews. We see guys like him that are used to working against the cage and keeping guys busy. Guys like Njokuani, he's gonna rain down some nasty elbows on you if you hang out there too early or too long. Like, if Jake, I could see Jake Matthews shooting for a double against the fence, and that's if he backs Njokuani up against the fence. Njokuani is gonna be putting the pace on Jake Matthews early. I don't think Jake Matthews is gonna be walking down Njokuani, especially with the reach disadvantage he has. But if he does get Njokuani against the fence, I think he's going to get himself in trouble if he tries what he typically does when he resorts to taking people down against the fence. Because if he hangs out there too long, he's going to catch a couple really fucking gnarly elbows. But these ones are tough to pick. Right out of the gate, I want to say Njokuani. I do. But you just never know when you have a wrestler that if they do implement their game, it shuts down a lot of threats. I think it's either going to be Jake Matthews by decision or Njokuani by knockout. Those are the only two ways this goes. Njokuani is going to get him out. It's either going to be an early finish or Jake Matthews is going to grind him down for 3 rounds and wrestle fuck him. So, this is a flip of a coin here. I'm going to go... I'm going to go Jake Matthews. And I don't feel good about this pick because Cheaty's one of those guys that if he does show up, he's not like Kevin Holland, like if he shows up, but he has kind of that factor to him where like sometimes he shows up and he looks fucking real slick. If that version of Cheaty shows up Saturday night, I could see Jake Matthews getting put out pretty quickly. But if not, I think Jake Matthews is going to put the pace on him and implement some wrestling. Moving on, Max Griffin and Chris Curtis. Chris Curtis. So goofy looking. He's so goofy looking. It is crazy though that Chris Curtis is going to make 170. I had to check that real quick. So I was like, I swear to God, he's a 185er. That's why he looks so damn goofy standing like that. I guess, was his last fight at fucking welterweight? No way, right? Yeah. Okay. That makes me feel a lot better because I was like, I must be hallucinating. So this is, I guess Chris Curtis is moving down to welterweight. Max Griffin, another guy, not as sporadic as Mike Davis as far as inactivity goes, but Max Griffin, I want to say he's like a full-time police officer or some shit outside of the UFC, but he doesn't fight very often. I think he's fought twice. I think he fought two or 3 times in 2024, right? But before then, not much, not too much activity. Lost to Michael Chiesa, got subbed. I don't think there's gonna be too much wrestling going on here. I think these guys are probably gonna stand and bang. Chris Curtis doesn't want to wrestle. He's not gonna shoot. He's like Sean Strickland. I'm pretty sure they train together still. I know they had some like fucking drama not long ago, but who can keep track? Chris Curtis is not going to shoot takedowns. Max Griffin can. I don't think he's going to. I think Chris Curtis definitely has a power advantage here coming down from middleweight. Question is, how's the weight cut going to go? That's always my question when someone like this moves down a division. Because Chris Curtis isn't like... He's not big, but he's not small. Does that make sense? Like, his physique is a little confusing. But it's not confusing to the point where I know that extra 15 pounds, like, that's a lot. Like, I'm sure he was cutting probably a good 10 to 15 pounds to get down to 185, if I had to assume. Maybe even closer to 20. He's probably walking around 205. So he's probably cutting close to 30 pounds when it's all said and done to get down to 170. And that 100% has an effect on someone. And this is his first fight at 170, first weight cut to 170 since his time in the middleweight division. So I really wish that I could see what he looks like on the scale before making this video. I think that will have a lot to do with how this fight goes, but I'm going to go Chris Curtis. I think he's just going to overwhelm Max Griffin. His volume is pretty high. Not going to catch him with any like sneaky head kicks or anything like that from Max. Moving on, just Junior Tafa and Tuco Tokos. Why is this pay-per-view? Or ESPN Plus? Or main card, excuse me. Okay, I don't think it is. This is brutal. I don't understand why Junior Tafa is still in the UFC. This right here should like go to show you how badly the UFC is hurting for talent in the heavyweight division. Which, again, we have another guy going from heavyweight down to light heavyweight, which is probably a good move for Junior Tafa. But he better show the fuck out, because he did not have an impressive run at heavyweight. He was always the smaller guy at heavyweight. He just got bullied around the cage. And he's going to be the smaller guy here, too, I think. And he has, like, a very similar style to Justin Tafa. The heavyweight division is in shambles right now. You know, like, this card is being headlined by Derek Lewis. Okay? I love Derek Lewis. Everybody loves Derek Lewis. But the fact that he's still at the top of the division with how, like, lacking in skills he has should say something about the state of where the heavyweight division is. So, Junior Tafa moves down to light heavyweight. He better show some big improvements in skill, because as you go down, the skill gets higher and higher. Like, these light heavyweights are going to be not only faster, they're going to be damn near just as strong as those heavyweights he was in there with. They're going to have a whole hell of a lot more skill. So, like, he better have made some, like, very drastic improvements to his game, or else I don't, like, think that there's going to be any difference in the outcome of this fight. I'm going to go with Tuco for that reason, because I don't think that Junior Tafa went back to camp and, like, sharpened his skills, so to speak. He probably just focused on shedding some weight and not getting as fat as his brother. So, I'm going Tuco. Knockout. Easy money. Vitor Petrino and Austin Lane. I'm going Vitor Petrino 1000%. Austin Lane throws overhands that are about as ugly as you can get. It looks like he throws a knuckleball sometimes when he's throwing his overhand right. Very similar to Waldo Cortez Acosta, where he almost throws it like this. And that's what I'm, like, talking about. It's like, Vitor Petrino, in my opinion, is what we should be, like, really looking for in heavyweight. Obviously, he's a light heavyweight, so, but, like, you're going to see it. He's going to go up. He's going to be the smaller guy in the cage, okay? And he's going to fuck Austin Lane up, because skill-wise, he's not a fucking can. Austin Lane is a can. It's going to be such a bad night at the office for Austin Lane. Like, there's going to be danger, of course, in the first couple minutes, because he's got fucking dynamite in his hands, regardless of how sloppy his technique is. But I'd like to think that Vitor Petrino is going to be smart enough to keep his distance in the first few minutes of the fight, and feel things out, and not get overextended and eat an unnecessary bomb. And he can also grapple. And I foresee him grappling. So I think he's going to make very easy work of Austin Lane. Austin Lane has no business in the UFC heavyweight division. Get them all out of there. Just revamp the whole fucking heavyweight division. It's brutal. Absolutely brutal. Nate Landwehr and Morgan Shari. I'm going late Nate Landwehr. And I thought long and hard about this one, guys. Hear me out. Nate Landwehr is of the likes of Jimmy Flick, Clay Guida. Who else? You get the picture. Guys that are not talented as far as God-given talent. They have no lick of athleticism. They've just grinded here on pure grit and just being a mean motherfucker. That is what Nate Landwehr is. And I think a lot of people are thinking that he's getting fed to the Sharks here, which initially, hear me, I thought the same thing. I said, goodness gracious, they are sacrificing Nate the Train to Morgan, but I don't think they are. I think Nate is... I think he's going to wrestle the absolute shit out of Morgan. And I think he's going to make him feel the pain, make him crack. Like, I think Nate Landwehr is going to put a huge upset on. And I'm leaving it at that. I'm not going to explain myself any further other than the fact that I think that he is got that dog in him. And for some reason, I've just got this fucking tickle in my nutsack that he's gonna get this done. So hammer it. Plus 230. Let's make some money. Calvin Kattar and Steve Garcia. I'm taking Steve Garcia. Calvin Kattar stands way too upright. Walks forward with no kind of no real sense for leg kicks. I think that Steve Garcia is going to absolutely tear his legs up. And Steve Garcia's got some nasty kicks, guys. Pretty sure he's one of the only guys in the UFC. He might even have 2 finishes by leg kicks. Doesn't he? I swear to Christ he does. I swear to God. Let's see. Steve Garcia. Okay, that was by punches. I'm not making this up. I swear to God, guys. Maybe I'm just hallucinating. I know Chris Gutierrez has him. Either way, I do think that Steve Garcia is going to chew that leg up. I really do. He's got really crisp boxing. Calvin Kattar's got good boxing too, but it's like pretty textbook. I think Steve Garcia is gonna make this one look pretty easy. Calvin Kattar's had a pretty rough go of it, especially. I think he's really just had a tough time getting back in the groove of things ever since Max Holloway rearranged his brain. I think it was very similar to the Tony Ferguson fight with Justin Gaethje, where Calvin Kattar walked out of that octagon a very different person than he walked in, and not in a good way. So I think Steve Garcia is going to chew the leg up. It's going to put some openings for some other attacks, and we're going to see him get Calvin Kattar out of there most likely. Wonderboy Thompson versus Gabriel Bonfim. They are feeding Wonderboy to the Sharks. This one, I feel and I just saw an interview of Wonderboy saying there's no end in sight. Like, he doesn't plan on retiring anytime soon. He's 42. His last fight got knocked the fuck out. It was a nasty knockout. And he had his chin is held up for sure. I'm not saying that Joaquin Buckley knockout is like indicative of the fact that his chin is gone now, but he's 42 years old, right? We're damn near 15-year difference here. And Gabriel Bonfim is like extremely well-rounded. He's good everywhere. Stephen Thompson's when the fight first starts, he's gonna be teep kicking. He's gonna be catching Gabriel with these like very point style fight kicks and punches. He's gonna throw these roundhouse kicks, spinning wheel kicks. But Gabriel, he's way too well rounded to get caught by something like that, and I'm very, very confident in that fact. I think that he is going to make an absolute nightmare of a matchup for Stephen Thompson. I think we're going to see Stephen Thompson get finished yet again. I feel terrible saying that. Wonder Boy is one of my favorite fighters of all time, but I think that they're going to feed him to the sharks here, and Gabriel Bonfim is going to make it look easy, and most likely going to be. Also, why do they not have his picture there? I'm so confused. But let's face it, Stephen Thompson, not great jiu-jitsu. Gabriel Bonfim, really good jiu-jitsu. Stephen Thompson, great striking. Gabriel Bonfim, good striking. The disparities are pretty evident, and it just doesn't, on paper, it just doesn't look good for Stephen Thompson. So we're going to go with Gabriel Bonfim here. And the main event, Derek Lewis, 40 years old, versus Taliesin Teixeira, 25. Which, dude, 25? What the fuck? Guys, that's crazy that he's 25. This dude just started paying for his own health insurance. He looks like he's been paying his health insurance for years. I digress. I think Taliesin Teixeira is going to make pretty easy work of this. And here's why I think so. I know people are going to say, well, Derek Lewis, Volkov is 6'7", and he knocked out Volkov. They went third round. I understand that. I do. I get it. But Derek Lewis is a one-trick pony, okay? And I'm not saying that this alleged 25-year-old is not a one-trick pony, but he's not as one-dimensional as Derek Lewis. Everyone knows that all you have to do to beat Derek Lewis is stay away from his right hand. And I guess knees. Who was at De Lima with a flying knee in the first fucking 30 seconds was wild. Here's the caveat. This fight with De Lima was the first fight that Derek Lewis allegedly took his nutrition in camps like semi-seriously. Then he came back and lost to Jailton Almeida, who Almeida's a tough fight, and then he knocked out Nascimento, getting back into the win column. So I'm not trying to be too hard on him, but like everyone knows, as long as you stay away from the right hand, he's not a danger. You're going to go to a decision with him. You just got to stay away from the right hand. And I don't really think that, again, this is a 15-year age gap, guys. 15 years. And you might get tired of me pointing that out, but that is such an important factor. Like, I'm 27, and shit, I felt different at 21 than I do now. Like, when I first started training, I recovered way faster. I didn't feel as banged up. It's only been 5 years. I feel way different. 15 years, guys, like that's a ton of mileage. A ton of mileage. And he's had some nasty knockouts. Like, he's been flatlined a couple times. He's ate some really nasty shots. So, like, Derek Lewis has his mileage. And Talison's just getting started. He's feeling good. Confidence is high. He's a big motherfucker. He's sleeping people left and right. So I think it's going to be a bad day at the office for Derek Lewis. Here's the only caveat that I will say, is that with young guys facing, I'm not saying Derek Lewis is like a legend, but some would probably call him like a legend of the sport, right? He has the most knockouts in UFC history. You can probably classify that as a legend in some capacity, right? And we've seen it happen before with young up-and-comers where they kind of psych themselves out a little bit, right? Like, is Taliesin going to psych himself out of this? He might. Oh, I'm going against Derek Lewis. I might get fucking flatlined. Like that. If I was fighting Derek Lewis, that would be probably my first thought. I'd be dreaming about that right hand, having nightmares about it. So I will say that is a possibility, that Teixeira could very well psych himself out, cause himself to go stale in there, not be as active, right? Not have the volume that he typically has, and allow Derek Lewis to get in close the reach. Interesting matchup. I don't think that Taliesin is going to psych himself out. He could be biting off more than he can chew, but I don't think so. I'm going to go with Taliesin Teixeira. I am. Fuck. This has been a hard card. I sat here before I sat down to make this video, and I went through this card for so long. It was like I can't remember the last time that I had this much trouble picking, and that's a good job on the UFC, right? Like, this is a great fight night in my opinion, a really, really stacked fight night, full of not only names that people and casuals know outside of people that fucking live this shit. It's like, stylistically, this is a very solid card. There are some really good matchups. Classic grappler versus striker, striker versus striker. Like, I love the matchups that the UFC put together on this fight. I think we have some opportunities to make some money. Like I said, we're hammering some underdogs early. So let me know what you think in the comments. Who do you think is going to take home the main event, Derek Lewis or Teixeira? And of course, we'll catch you on Sunday after everything wraps up. We'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for stopping by.